sample spaces and events. Write the event. Yellow appears at least once when we spin the given spinner 3 times as a set of outcomes. Abbreviate red as R, blue as B, and yellow as Y. To solve this problem, we first need to write the sample space. The sample space is the set of all possible outcomes for spinning the spinner 3 times. To do this, we're going to create a tree diagram. First, I'm going to create a tree diagram for spinning yellow on my first spin. So I'll write a Y for yellow, and again this represents getting a yellow on my first spin. Now I'm going to draw 3 branches. And these 3 branches represent the outcomes for my second spin. I could either get a yellow, a red, or a blue on my second spin. Now the problem tells me that I'm spinning the spinner 3 times, so now I need to draw 3 branches from each outcome of my second spin to represent my third spin. So if we go to the yellow on my second spin, I'll have 3 choices for my third spin, which is a yellow, an R, and a B. And then again, if I spin a red on my second spin, on my third spin, I'll also have a choice of a yellow, a red, or a blue. And then lastly, I'll also have a choice of a yellow, red, or a blue if I spin a blue on my second spin. The last column, or the last set of branches, represents my third spin. From here, I can write my outcomes for spinning a yellow first. To write the outcomes, we'll just start at the first spin, which is a yellow. And then we'll follow the branch to the next yellow, and then the next branch to the third yellow. My first outcome is yellow, 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 or Y, Y, Y. Now I'm going to do the same thing, just following the tree to list my second outcome. So I have a yellow on my first, then a yellow on my second, and then I could also have a red on the third. So this outcome is YYR. Next, we could have a yellow on my first, a yellow on the second, and then a blue on the third. So this outcome is YYB. And I'll just follow this pattern. My next outcome is YRY. Then I have YRR, YRB, YBY, YBR, and YBB. These sets here represent all the outcomes when I spin a yellow first. Now I'm going to do the same thing for spinning a red first and a blue first. Okay, so here I listed all the outcomes for spinning a yellow on my first spin. Now I'm going to write my tree diagram for spinning a red on my first spin. So I have an R, and then from the R I'm going to branch out, and I have 3 outcomes for my second spin, which is a Y, R, and B. Now for my third spin, I'll draw 3 sets of branches from each previous branch, and then I'll list my 3 outcomes again. I have a YRB on each set of branches. Now I'm going to look at my tree and write my outcomes. First I have a RYY. Then I have an RYR, an RYB, RRY, RRR, RRB, RBY, RBR, and RBB. So these sets represent spinning a red on my first spin. I continued my list of outcomes by including those sets of spinning red first in my list. Now lastly, I'm going to list all the outcomes of spinning blue first. So I'll create another tree diagram. I'm going to spin a blue, and from here I have 3 outcomes of either spinning a yellow, a red, or a blue. And then again I have 3 outcomes on my third spin, which is a yellow, a red, and a blue. Now I'm going to follow the branches and write each outcome. Okay, so I went ahead and wrote down all of my outcomes, as you can see here, for spinning a blue on my first spin. And I'm going to add these sets to the list. Now that I listed all of my outcomes, this entire list of outcomes is called my sample space. From the sample space, I want to write the event yellow appears at least once when we spin the given spinner 3 times. So I'm going to look at each of these outcomes in my sample space and highlight the outcomes where yellow appears at least once. So that means yellow can appear 1 time, it can appear 2 times, or it can appear 3 times in an outcome. I've highlighted all the outcomes where yellow appears at least once. And these outcomes that I highlighted are called the event that yellow appears at least once when we spin the given spinner 3 times. And here at the bottom of the screen, I've just listed all of these outcomes individually, and I've put them within brackets. That's typically how we write a set of outcomes. And this represents our answer to the entire problem. And just as a note, you can list these outcomes in any order within the set of outcomes. So for instance, I have YYY as my first outcome, but we could have it as our last outcome. The order in which we list each outcome within the event does not matter.